with another haul today, and I've got some really exciting pickups. I've got this pile of books and then this box of goodies that I was really excited to receive. So I have 16 books total from 11 series, and I'll have the timestamps below as usual. I have 2 seinen volumes to get started. The first one is the Hitman Stans Volume 2. I read this immediately the day that I bought it and really enjoyed it. This is such a funny series and I enjoy it so much. So I actually had pre-ordered this copy, and the copy that I got in the mail was really misaligned, and that just bothers me. Personally, that just bothers me a lot because I consider my bookshelves to be part of my home decor, and I just stare at my bookcases every day. So I just really like to have my spines in fantastic condition and aligned. So because it bothered me so much, I was going to the city and I brought my copy that I had pre-ordered and just swapped it out at the bookstore for a copy that had an aligned spine. And then I read it that day and enjoyed it a lot. So the premise is exactly as the title indicates, the Hitman Stans. So the story is all about this hitman who is legendary for his skill and precision, and one day in Volume 1, he abruptly quits the business because he has been having guilt building up as he goes to the shows of his Oshi, and he really wants to just be able to interact with her and cheer for her without the guilt weighing on him of taking lives. So despite his skill, he's trying to give it up so that he can just be fully devoted as a fan. But as Volume 2 continues the story, the criminal underworld is not really wanting to let him go. But it's just super funny because he is such a fanboy and I love it. It's so relatable just as an anime and manhwa fangirl. But just watching him when he is at concerts and fan events, just his hitman personality and just his traits from his job as a hitman kind of coming into his personal life, and just the way that he interacts with people and his demeanor and stuff is just too funny. But the Hitman Stans Volume 2. Volume 3 just released in Japan in spring 2025, so hopefully we'll get that one soon. I'm loving the covers and the spines though. Volume 1 was yellow, Volume 2 is pink, and then Volume 3 is blue, so looking forward to that release, hopefully soon. Next is My Dress Up Darling, Volume 14, and the series is almost over. So this is the second to last volume. The series just ended in Japan recently with Volume 15, so we're almost to the finale of the series. I did read ahead into Volume 15 when the series was ending because I didn't want to see spoilers on the ending, so I have been able to enjoy the finale, and I'm looking forward to the final volume coming out and just being able to read it from the official print release. I have loved this series. It is so wholesome and just sweet. I love Gojo and Marin. The whole series has been rated mature, and I feel like that's kind of crazy because this is just like a really sweet high school romance with a lot of focus on cosplay and just hobbies and acceptance and just pursuing the things that you like and not being ashamed of those things or letting people's perceptions and opinions weigh you down. Just Marin's attitude through the whole series. She is such a fantastic female lead, and I just love her dynamic with Gojo. So she is super outgoing, super bubbly, energetic, passionate, and Gojo's really sensitive, introverted, but like Marin has a strong passion for the things that he loves. And their bond as the series has gone and just their friendship and their feelings for each other, it's just been such a sweet ride, and I wish it had gone a little longer, but that's always how I feel. I always just want more and more of series that come to a close. I just wish they could continue. But Volume 14, 1 to go, and the series will be complete. Next, I have an indie manga project that I was really excited to be contacted about. So this is a brand new manga series, I Met Shiro in a Hidden World, Volume 1. And The author of this story is actually doing a Kickstarter right now. It's going to be running through December 9th to fund this project, but I was contacted by the author and she asked if I would be interested in reading an early release copy to review it and then to maybe generate some hype around the series in the manga community. So I read it and I really enjoyed it. It's a very sweet story. So it follows this 18-year-old girl. The series starts with her as a little girl and just kind of shows the circumstances of her family. Her parents are both very consumed with work, and even when they're at home with her, they're just preoccupied with their work and other things. But then her family often visits her grandparents, and she has a really close relationship with her grandmother. And the love and attention she gets from her grandparents is really special. Just kind of helping her to cultivate at a young age a really adventurous spirit and just being fascinated with nature. But after kind of introducing her and her family, there is a jump to the present day where she is 18 years old. Her family is living in the city and they're trying to persuade her grandmother to come move to the city as well because time has passed and she's gotten older. But on a visit to her grandma, she goes adventuring in the woods behind her grandma's house, like she always does. And this time, though, she gets lost deep in the woods and stumbles upon a hidden world without realizing it. And in that hidden world, meets the absolute cutest little snake. So she meets the snake and it starts talking to her, and she at this point hasn't realized that she has wandered so far, but after spending some time with this snake, she realizes the situation she's in, and fortunately the snake decides to help her because it is actually a much more dangerous place than she initially thought it was. But this was a really cute and fun read. I especially like how, as a child and as she grows up through her teenage years, she is very whimsical, very adventurous, and I'm really excited to see how her relationship with this snake yokai goes as she gets to know him and spends more time in the world that he lives in. But like I said, this series does have a Kickstarter right now. I will have in the video description a link to the author's Kickstarter project. So definitely check that out if this sounds like something that you would like to read. You can pause the screen if you want to read the blurb here on the back. And then along with this book that I got in the mail, they also sent some stickers. Super cute. This one's my favorite of the stickers. This scene was so cute of them foraging together and eating. But really happy to have a part in promoting this indie series. And I really hope that it will get some support and succeed. So I Met Shiro in a Hidden World Volume 1. Next I have Volumes 1 and 2 of Piece Heroines. So these two novels that have a focus on some of the female characters in One Piece. So this novel was on my radar. I intended to get to it eventually, but I wasn't in any hurry to get to it until I was in person at the bookstore and saw this one, picked it up and looked at the back and saw Hancock here on the back cover and knew that I needed to pick it up because my husband is a huge fan of Hancock. And then upon opening it, I saw that there was a double-sided poster of the front and back cover illustration. Just stunning. I love this art. This was actually a chapter header in the manga, so it is in the manga art style, in the color walk style, in color. But I love this art, and we're big Hancock fans, so I knew I needed to pick this up. If not for the story, at least just for my husband to be able to put on his shelf. And it's actually double-sided. It has some character art in a different art style. It says here, this is the artist that did the illustrations. But these are the kind of header illustrations for each of the chapters. So I'll start with volume 1. Volume 1 has 4 chapters that follow these 4 female leads. This one too has a double-sided poster with an illustration of each of the heroines that are featured. So the chapters are Nami, Robin, Vivi, and Perona. And these are just really fun novels. More so than novels, I feel like they're like a collection of little short stories, and the short stories read like fanfics. They're so fun. I think I forgot to show the back cover. So this one has the 4 girls on the cover, and then they're on the back as well. And then volume 2 has 4 main chapters and then kind of a half chapter. So Hancock, Toshigi, Reiju, and Uta have chapters, and then there's a bonus kind of half chapter that follows Nami and Robin. But immediately picked up volume 2 without even getting volume 1 because of the Hancock art, but then also just having a Hancock chapter. But then also having a Reiju chapter meant that there would very likely be some Sanji mentions in here, and there were. I was so happy because I'm just always dying for more Sanji content. Sanji's my favorite character in One Piece. And this chapter was just really fun. Just a little bit of extra Vinsmoke content, and I'll take what I can get because I just need as much Sanji as I can get. But the day that I picked this one up, I read the Reiju chapter and the Hancock chapter. The Reiju one made me so happy because it featured baby Sanji, and then the Hancock chapter was so funny. She's so just delusional about Luffy, and I absolutely love it. And then I picked up the first volume. So this novel series is complete with these 2 volumes, and honestly, I was a little disappointed when I found out because I would have loved for it to continue and to have other stories featuring other female characters from One Piece, to just have their point of view or to just have some of their experience and spotlight on them. But I'm just glad we got these released in English. From what I read, these were originally released as short stories in the One Piece magazine in different issues, and then they were collected to be released as novels. So I think it's kind of nice that they did that and that they were kind of grouped together as the heroine stories. But again, I just had a lot of fun with these ones because they read like fanfics, and it just made me really happy. So in the first novel, my favorite chapter was about Perona because it followed her, Zoro, and Mihawk during the time skip, which I found really fun, kind of having that goth family trio extra content. And then also there's a Sanji mention, and it made me really happy. I also really liked Nami's chapter, which kind of was just a separate little adventure that she had. Vivi's chapter kind of was more from Koza's point of view, which I didn't mind at all. And then Robin's chapter was fun too, again, during the time skip. And then volume 2, like I said, Reiju and Hancock's chapters were my favorites. And then the next one that I liked the most was probably Uta's because it had a lot of Shanks in it, and I really love Shanks. So that was kind of fun as well. But glad I picked these up. Kind of bummed that it's just these 2 volumes, but happy that we got it in English and glad to have them. Next, I have some BL titles. The first one is Yankee and Carameliser. Huge thank you to Yen Press for sending me this one-shot. I enjoyed it so much. It's such a cute story. If you want to pause and read the official blurb, it follows 2 high school boys, and they're very different. The blonde one is a delinquent, and the dark-haired one is a good student, and he has a hobby of making recordings and posting them online, trying to post trending videos, but his delinquent classmate catches his eye when he kind of figures out on his own that a baking account that he follows is this guy's account. And it is just so unexpected because he does not seem like the personality who would love to bake. There are so many rumors about him having been expelled from his previous school and then transferring into this school. But then he goes out of his way to make himself a part of his life because he's really wowed by his baking. And since he has a personal interest in social media and filming and editing, he wants to make him into a baking influencer. So I don't really want to flip through because it's rated mature, but it is extremely cute. It isn't even spicy until the very, very end, but it's just really wholesome and just really heartwarming about kind of acceptance and with these two guys, opposites attract, and the struggles that he's gone through his whole life because of the perception people have of him and what's expected of him. But I ended up really, really enjoying this one, and it definitely is a foodie manga if you love foodie mangas like I do. All of the baking and eating panels are just like, yum. And then he's so cute, his gap of his personality and demeanor when he is cooking and just like his unexpected passion. But just a really fun and cute read, and definitely recommend this one. I really enjoyed it. Next, I have a one-shot from Tokyopop, Star and Hedgehog. So this is another one-shot, and this is one that I read before it was licensed in English, and I do like this story quite a bit. It follows a university guy and his family's gardener. Or not gardener, but a gardener who works for a landscaping company that does work over a summer at his parents' house. And kind of the interest he takes in him and the relationship that develops from there. I'll put this up here if you want to pause and read the blurb. But this one too is rated mature. It's pretty spicy when the spice hits, but I really enjoy this one, and it has a spin-off one-shot that releases in December that I already have pre-ordered. I'm looking forward to the sequel. I'll put an image up on the screen. But it follows the gardener's older brother and his relationship, so looking forward to that one as well. I haven't read this physical one since I got it in the mail. Sorry, I keep trying to hold it where it won't have a reflection of my lamp. But I haven't read this physical yet since I got it in the mail. I've been really excited about it, but I was planning to wait until the spinoff released. I think it releases in December. So I was going to wait until the spinoff released, and then I was going to just read them back to back. But I actually just got a digital review copy from Tokyopop of the sequel. So going to bump that up now on my read list. Probably going to read this week, Star and Hedgehog, and then read right into my digital copy of the sequel. Or the spinoff. So really looking forward to that. But Star and Hedgehog. I was just looking for a couple panels that I could share. To show the art style. The guys are both really cute. So really glad that we have this one in English now and that the spinoff is going to be coming pretty soon. I was really excited when I found out that this one was licensed in English. I have one more BL one-shot that, again, I've been so excited about since I found out I was getting licensed. So Light of My Life, another one-shot. Another one rated mature. Here is the official blurb. This is another one that I read before it was licensed in English. Let me see if I want to share the art style a little bit. I really like the art in this one. The guys are so beautiful. But this one follows two young men. I think they're in their late 20s. But it kind of shows the strained relationship they have as adults after having been really close friends in high school. In high school, he had the goal and dream to be a professional soccer player, whereas he had the goal of becoming a doctor, but maybe even a scientist or researcher to really just focus in the medical field. He was really smart. but there's a bit of an accident where he is injured, and that kind of derails his goals to pursue professional sports. So he becomes a hairdresser, and this guy, rather than becoming a doctor, starts working at a host club. So then the story just gets right into their lives as adults and the strain that their past has put on their present relationship. But it's just very angsty. I love the way that it hurts me. But then I also just really like the romance as the story goes and how they're able to open up to each other and mend their relationships. So this one is another BL one-shot that I just really like. Next, I have a manga that I was really, really excited about. So I have volumes 1 to 4 of In These Words. So the series is ongoing, so this isn't the whole story. I hope that volume 5 will come out soon. So upon receiving this in the mail, I read it right away because I had been in such anticipation for it. A friend of mine had posted about a doujinshi that she picked up, and I liked the art, so I asked her, what series is that from? And it was actually, I don't remember if it was a prequel or a spin-off of this series. So this is a self-published series by this writer and artist combination. I'm not sure if it's 3 people or 2 people, but it is by Guilt Pleasure. So apparently they have been releasing as doujinshi the individual chapters for years. So the individual chapters as well as prequels, spin-offs. And then after some time passed, they released the chapters collected into volumes. And I'm really glad that I was able to get into this series once it was this far along so I could just binge straight through these because I enjoyed it so much. So about the premise, I'll just go ahead and show the volume 1 premise or official blurb if you want to pause and read it. And then I'll go through and show all the covers. But definitely this series is not for the faint of heart. So it is a BL series, but it is also a psychological thriller mystery series. The main character is this guy here. He's a forensic psychiatrist who studied in America and upon graduating worked with the New York Police Department, just working closely with detectives, doing profiling. And then upon returning to Japan, he is a guest lecturer at prestigious universities, highly sought after, very expensive. But the Tokyo Police Department seeks him out because of his expertise, his experience working with detectives, because they need his help on a serial killer case, an elusive serial killer who is just leaving a gruesome trail behind him, and they need his help to catch him. So that premise alone was kind of exciting, and I was really looking forward to getting into the series. I had been warned that it was really dark, and honestly, I really like dark reads. I really like painful reads. I thought I was just up for it and it would be right up my alley. Volume 1 was really intense. There is a lot of sexual violence, assault. There is a long list of trigger warnings, so if you're not sure, definitely check those trigger warnings. But I was reading through Volume 1 and I was thinking, oh, this is maybe too much for me. If I had just gotten Volume 1, I probably would have dropped the series after reading it. But because I, in one go, had picked up volumes 1 to 4, I was like, no matter what, I'm going to see it through. I'm going to read the whole thing and then decide what I think. And I'm so glad that I did because volume 1 was super rough. But about halfway through volume 2, there are these huge reveals and kind of twists that just change everything and just made everything that I read in volume 1 just feel completely different. And then from there on through the rest of the series, I absolutely loved the story and had several characters that I just really, really liked. So I'm so, so glad that I kept reading into volume 2 Of course, I wouldn't fault anyone for dropping it in volume 1 if it is like too rough, too violent. But if you think you can hang on and just read a little more, volume 2, the story is so good. One thing too that I want to mention, because this was the main reason why I was apprehensive in volume 1, I was really worried that the violent and sadistic assailant was going to be in a relationship with the main character, and that it was going to be like Stockholm Syndrome and just a really, not just toxic dynamic, but just really disturbing dynamic. But I just want to say that it is not an assailant-victim relationship. The story has a lot of complexity, but I want to say that because if I knew that going into it, I would have been able to read with more ease through volume 1. But this is just such a good read. I'm so happy I picked it up. I enjoyed this read so much. And then now that I've finished, I'm so impatient for volume 5. Hopefully it'll release in 2026. But in the meantime, I'm planning to pick up the additional content from Guilt Pleasure on their site. They have tons and tons of spin-off doujinshi, spin-off novellas, as well as prequel content following the main characters before this time frame. And I'm really looking forward to getting into all of that and kind of diving deeper into the characters. I also want to mention that this series is still in print. So when I was looking into buying these volumes, I saw that there were a lot of secondhand copies that were selling that were really expensive, and the secondhand listing said, rare, out of print, out of stock. Don't buy the overpriced volumes from scalpers. They're still in stock. But I'll put a link in my video description to the Guilt Pleasure online shop so that you can peruse. But one more thing I wanted to mention was just that these volumes are super nice. Like the print quality is super nice. The paper quality, the books just feel really luxe. But then additionally, each of the volumes has 2 double-sided posters. All 4 of them. So I just love that extra art content that we get. I'll just show them all real quick since I started. And then volume 2 actually has 3 double-sided posters. So just a bit of the vibes. You can kind of see the dark themes that the series has. But it's such a good story. I'm so glad that I checked it out. But while I'm like super excited about it still, like it absolutely is not for everyone. But it was for me. And then there also are 2 art books for this series, so I'm debating. I'm trying to decide what to get first because, and then this poster, I actually got an art print with my volumes of the art. But I'm debating what to buy and what to prioritize with this series because I'm waiting for volume 5 to release. There are 2 art books for In These Words, and then I swear there are like 15 or more like doujinshi prequels and novellas that are each like $10 to $13 each. So I'm just trying to decide where to start and if I should just do one bulk order and just get everything and then just have it all to read or what, but still deciding. If this sounds up your alley, in these words, super dark, really painful, a really complicated story, but then the romance in it is really beautiful, and I cried through most of volume 4, so yeah, looking forward to volume 5. I have a lone danmei volume in this haul, Run Wild volume 3. I did read it this week, or this weekend, I don't remember, and I really enjoyed it. So I believe Run Wild is going to be 6 volumes, so we're halfway through now. This is a high school romance, so modern setting. It follows these 2 boys. One of them from volume 1 is like the town delinquent, the like top dog, and then the other guy is new to the area because he was recently sent back to his birth father after his adoptive parents reversed his adoption. His parents that had raised him from when he was little until into high school just got fed up with him as he was going through puberty and having a bit of a rebellious attitude. They just were done with him and said, "We don't want you anymore." So that's where volume 1 starts, him feeling the ultimate rejection of his adoptive family, returning to his birth father who lives in this little town and just kind of feeling helpless, unwanted, angry, alone. So very much a coming of age story. I love the gentle romance in it, kind of unexpected, opposites attract, but I just love the way that the relationship develops between the 2 main characters, kind of the run-ins they have at first and the way that they kind of butt heads, but then the way that their very different personalities are just like perfect for each other. This is the volume 3 blurb, so there might be spoilers, but if you want to pause and read it. But really looking forward to volumes 4 through 6. I've been enjoying this read through and can't wait for the story to continue. I really, really hope that by volume 6 that we'll get to see them as adults, like maybe out of high school. Even if it's just like a tiny time skip at the end, I'll be satisfied. I just want to see them into adulthood and being able to be independent and seeing how they're able to be together at that point. I don't know. But been enjoying this series and really like the art style and the covers too. The volume 4 cover reveal just was released recently. I'll put it on the screen, but it's stunning as well. And lastly, I have 2 series, and they are both series from Inklore. Huge thank you to Inklore for sending me these review copies, these 2 deluxe hardcover manhwa volumes, and then this promo kit of a brand new manhwa series. So I'll go through these first and then I'll get into that. So Under the Oak Tree. So I'm not sure if it was in my last video or the video before, I was gushing about the novel. I recently read volume 1 of the novel and really, really enjoyed it. So I am caught up with the manhwa on Manta. Right now, the series is between volumes 4 and 5 of the digital release. So I am caught up on the digital release of the manhwa. I really, really have been enjoying the story. So having already read that, then I got into the novel and it was so good. So the novel is rated mature, whereas the manhwa is rated 16 plus teen. So I loved getting the extra spicy content in the novel, as well as just like extra inner monologue, getting more of their point of views that is not quite fully adapted to comic. Just things are kind of left out with the adaptation. I love the art style in the manhwa. and really enjoyed the adaptation, but just reading the original source material was just so amazing. And the first novel actually covered, I believe, the first 2 entire seasons of the manhwa. So I have volume 2 on the way of the novel, and I'm going to get right into it as soon as I get it. And I believe the second volume is going to cover seasons 3 and 4. So I just cannot wait to be caught up to the content I've read, so that then I can just be in anticipation of new content. But so I had been enjoying the novel and really excited for volume 2 on the way. And Inklore actually sent the first 2 volumes of the manhwa. So volume 1 and volume 2. So I actually did a YouTube short when I got these in the mail. So I'll link that above. But I was so happy to get these because they're just so luxe. I don't know if you could tell when I had the novel right here, but like, look. So the manhwa is taller, deeper, just hardcover deluxe. Just, this is such a beautiful release. So both of the volumes have foil on the title. It's kind of hard to see. And then gorgeous, I think they're called end papers, front and back. I love that they're kind of matching. Oh, Riften. I love that they kind of match the colorway of the books too. Like volume 1, the end papers are green and the book is like a dark green. And then volume 2 is blue and then the end papers are blue. But I'll go ahead and flip a little bit through volume 1 just to show. But this series follows this redhead girl. She is from a wealthy family, and her family is absolutely terrible. She has grown up with physical abuse from her father, just treating her like she's absolutely worthless because she has a stutter, and he feels like that brings such shame on their family. But so as a young adult, he marries her off to this knight because he is supposed to go participate in a battle and he really doesn't want to. So if he can marry off his daughter to this lowly knight, then he can send that knight in his stead and get out of it. And then he can get rid of this daughter that he doesn't want. So after their wedding, he goes off to battle, and the story kind of picks up pretty quickly, like after a few pages of just like, here's what's going on. Riften's back. 3 years later, after their wedding night, he is practically a stranger to her. They spent their wedding night together. He immediately went to battle for 3 years, and then he comes back, and at this point, he's famous because of his accomplishments in battle. And he's just like, okay, I'm picking you up from your dad's estate and we're going to my estate. And there is this unease and tension between them because of their kind of strained relationship after he just was gone for 3 years. There's a bit of a misunderstanding because he's upset that during his absence, she just continued living at her father's house rather than going to his estate and managing it as his wife. Whereas she didn't know that that was her responsibility. Even if she had known, she doubts that her father would have given her permission to leave. So that's where the story starts. But it's been such a beautiful story. Maxie has a really compelling character arc. And Riften, even though he's like kind of brooding and intimidating, he is just super, super sweet. He deep down cares about Maxie so much and just doesn't really know how to express it because he's just lived his life in battle and just with the guys. So he doesn't have that tenderness or doesn't know how to show that tenderness to this very sheltered girl. But just an absolutely beautiful release. I'm so curious how many volumes it's going to be, but looking forward to the next couple volume cover reveals. I just get so excited seeing how things are going to look, but just again, the release has been absolutely stunning. Huge thank you to Inklore for sending me these copies for review, and just really excited for this series to continue. And then now, lastly, so it was a bit of a hint, having it showing on screen through the whole video, but Heaven Official's Blessing. So I was sent this early copy of volume 1 of the manhwa and this promo kit that came with this really gorgeous box. So I can't like flip the entire thing over because it has my address on the bottom, but just lots of the motifs for this series, this quote. This is art from the front cover of the manhwa and the font of the title on the volume. But then inside, so it wasn't like this when I got it. I've already read it, so I just plopped it back inside to reveal it. But inside, let me show this first. The inside flap is gorgeous. I'm kind of bummed because my box got a bit beat up in transit because this is the actual box it was shipped in. But just my mail people are so rough with the packages. When I saw the box, I was like, please don't be damaged inside. But so the book was fine. I was really happy about that. But so I got this first volume and I got it a week, maybe a week and a half or 2 weeks early before release. It releases on December 2nd. And then along with the book in this package, I love the red. This series is very much just like red. I got these chem badges, these buttons. And so this series, Heaven Official's Blessing, I feel like it is like the most popular danmei series. And despite having been just like totally consumed with danmei this entire year, I haven't read it yet because I've just been reading all the modern danmei, and I've only read one historical danmei so far, Stars of Chaos. I haven't peeled the protective layer off of this one yet because I was storing it in this box and I didn't want it to get scratched, but this looks really cute too. Them as chibis. So I haven't really taken the dive into historical danmei yet. I've just read Stars of Chaos. And the next ones I'm intending to read are 2 other historical priest series, Drowning Sorrows and Raging Fire, and Coins of Destiny, because I'm a big fan of priest. But I'm intending to work my way to reading the MXTX series because I know how loved and how popular they are, and I would just like to know what the stories are about and to kind of experience this series that everybody loves. So my first exposure to Heaven Official's Blessing is actually from the donghua. I haven't watched all that has been released for the donghua. I have just watched the first maybe 4 episodes. And then I have been intending to get to the danmei, but so my first like really dive into the series is the manhwa. So I'm really happy that I was able to read this, that I was sent a review copy. And I'm really excited to share this volume because it is absolutely beautiful. So it is hardcover, it has sprayed edges, it has a dust jacket. The book cover has gold foiling. So I'll do a little book tour. So gold foil on the cover and on the spine. I love this deep red. The dust jacket is beautiful. So many butterflies. So this one isn't foiling on the spine and the front cover, but it is raised and kind of glossy, so that's why it's kind of looking reflective, because it has a black gloss and it's raised, so it's textured. So it says Volume 1 includes the prologue and episodes 1 to 14 of the original webcomic. So with the prologue, it has chapters 1 to 7. So they condensed episodes 1 to 14 into 7 chapters. But the end papers are gorgeous. Just a really vibrant red, contrasting the black. It's not foil, but it's so vibrant. Oh, and then I forgot, along with the acrylic charm and the buttons, I got this postcard print. So I didn't realize, I was really excited when I saw this because this is the cover illustration of the art book by Star Ember. I really, really love their art style. So I really hope that Inklore will do an English release of the art book, because I've been wanting to pick it up even without having read Heaven Official's Blessing, the danmei, or the manhwa. I've been wanting to pick up the art book by Star Ember, but the resale has been so expensive. I've just been waiting to find a good deal and I haven't found one yet. So I'm hoping that Inklore will give us a release of the art book. Oh, but I didn't realize that there were different prints. I hadn't really been watching the unboxings that people have been doing. I saw some of them posted, but I wasn't really watching them because I was wanting to be surprised by the volume, because I knew it was going to be just luxe. So I wanted to experience kind of opening it up myself. So I didn't realize that there were other prints, but this is the one I got and it's gorgeous. But so inside the book, the first page has this chibi illustration by Star Ember. I love this kind of framing for every chapter header. It has this same framing, the butterflies and the flowers. So chapter 0 is the prologue, and then chapters 1 to 7. So it goes through the whole Ghost Groom arc, and then it kind of leaves off immediately following that to kind of like, here's what's going to happen in the next volume, into the next arc. So I'll be looking forward to that. A little character guide and a pronunciation guide. This is so helpful because I am so bad with Chinese names. Like, I am always saying them wrong. Like, in my head through a whole read, I'll be saying it one way and then I'll see a pronunciation guide later, or I'll hear someone else say it correctly and I'm just like, I've been saying it wrong this whole time. But just really aesthetically pleasing. The art is absolutely gorgeous. So these first volumes are kind of like not first volumes, these first couple of pages are very white, but through a lot of the volume, there is just like very dark. And I love that even though it's dark, it is vibrant. Like the things happening in the story just pop out because of the dark background, just the contrast. So just really nice print quality, really nice paper quality. And I've said this like 7 times now. Just, this is such a nice release. It feels so luxe. So I'm really happy I was able to read this. So when I got this in the mail, I read it that night, just so that I could like dive into it and see what the story is about. So even though I had watched some of the donghua, I actually watched through the Ghost Groom episodes, and It was at a time that I had not read very much supernatural content, so I was really freaked out. I was really freaked out by the bride corpses, and I thought, I don't know, this series seems like it's too scary and creepy for me, and I just stopped watching it after that arc and thought maybe I'll return to it. Maybe I'll check out the danmei eventually. I don't know. And then years passed, and in the recent years, I have read series like The Ghost Nocturne and just more supernatural series with creepy content or ghosts. Like I'm not a horror reader, and I don't like when things are scary or gory, but I've toughened up a bit. So it was kind of not nostalgic, but it felt a little nostalgic reading through that arc, thinking like, I was really freaked out during the donghua, but I guess I'm tougher now. So I guess now is a good time to be able to get into the series and be able to enjoy it. And honestly, I'm just really, really excited to meet the characters. So I met him, and then I got a glimpse at the other guy. Like, I don't know very much about this series, like, other than what I've seen people gushing about them. So I do know just from people reading posts and stories that people have shared about the series, about the other love interest and kind of the dynamic between them. So I'm just looking forward to meeting the other guy and kind of learning about him and seeing the relationship. So really looking forward to that. After I read this, I was curious how many volumes it might be, and I saw that the original release is not complete and it's on hiatus. So I hope it continues before the English release eventually catches up. But also I have no idea like how long it's projected to be. So I don't know, maybe the manhua will just like help give me a taste of the series, and then I can get into the danmei, which is completed at 8 volumes, to get the full story. But I'm a big fan, again, like I said, of Star Ember, so I'm really happy that I was able to get this review copy and get into this series and just enjoy the art style and the story in this medium. So thank you so much, Inklore, for sending me this review copy. Oh, I enjoyed it a lot and really excited for the story to continue. I have been super tempted by the danmei, even without having read it, because the hardcover release of the danmei is really gorgeous. So I have a few other historical series that I want to read before getting into this one for danmei. So in addition to the other 2 priest series that I mentioned, I kind of want to read Erha and Remnants of Filth. And then I also want to read The Disabled Tyrant's Pet Fish, and His Pet Fish. I don't remember the title, but I want to read that one. It was recommended by a few friends. And then there's a new release, I forget the title, something Salted Fish. And I want to read that one because I really love the art style and I don't want to miss out on the special edition release for volume 1. So that's kind of my historical danmei agenda, that hopefully this winter I'll be able to really get into some of these historical danmei series. But since my first danmei that I read in March of this year, I have just been consumed just reading all the modern set danmei I could get my hands on. I've loved it, fallen deep into the danmei pit, and I'm not coming out anytime soon. But really happy to have this one now. And that I've like officially gotten into this series with this now. So this is everything for this haul. I have been really excited about some of these series. Really thrilled that I was able to get into some of them right away, and then a couple left that I still need to get into. But hope you enjoyed coming along with me, just going through all these series and talking about them. My next video is going to be a mix of some new releases as well as my most recent Japan order. I think tomorrow I should be getting my Nyokyo Proxy order in the mail, and I have a few other books that I have set to the side that I'm going to share with that haul. I just felt like this video was already going to be long, so I just pulled a couple things off to the side to include them with my Nyokyo haul. So a few danmei volumes, a few extras, a couple art books that I've gotten. So hopefully I'll have that one out pretty soon. And even pulling those couple of series out of the stack of books for this haul, I thought that would help me to keep this video shorter, but looking at the recording right now, it's already pretty long again. I'm just having so much trouble lately keeping my videos under an hour, so maybe once this is edited, it'll be close to an hour. But thank you so much if you stuck around to the end. All my videos lately have been super long, so I just am literally sitting here for an hour and a half just talking about all the books that I've been reading. So hope you enjoyed watching, and I'll see you again soon in my next video. Thanks for watching.